was abrupt. Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks like yourselves. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, or shall I say temporarily, RPG with A5E. Welcome to the channel. All of you guys as co-hosts, as we come to the terminating end of this grand Kickstarter. I want to thank you for being along, and I hope to not hope to. I will be continuing these somewhat sneak peeks behind the scenes, focuses on various elements of a 1,500 plus page Kickstarter of Level Up Advanced Fifth Edition. So thank you very much for being here. Hey, Nick. Hey, thank you for stopping by. Um, I really appreciate it. And today we are going to delve into a brand new class. Brand new is relative speaking. We're going to delve into the Marshal class, better known in some regions as the Battle Master. Yeah, we're going to delve into the Marshal, look at some background features of the character, and yet this is another non-spell casting Marshal class similar to the newly designed Ranger in Level Up A5E. So thank you very much for being here. But as others come along, and again, thanks Nick for being here. The Kickstarter currently is US dollars 782,000 and 4,869 backers. Is 37 hours to go. Kind of cool. Kind of cool to be part of it. Yeah, yeah. All right. So listen, let's not banter around too much. All right. So the Marshal class is a um, as the old battle master, and I really don't want to use the battle master terminology too much because in Level Up 5E all of the character classes now, of course, absolutely with their combat statistics, they now have a stronger social and exploration pillar for them. And I feel like because Level Up has a design team has really enhanced the other three pillars, that trying to shift the terminology away from a purely combat focused character now gives them more options, right? Even characters who are antisocial or have very few social graces technically have social talents. Those social talents just are, negative to a certain extent, but at least it gives them something else to do when they're not beating things about the head and shoulders. So anyway, of course, we have the artwork here, and uh, some um, some flavor for each of the character classes, and essentially, what it talks about is the Marshal being a character who goes from we imagine a Marshal, battle master character, being a support role, and how that character can be part of a battlefield and be a commander, but also can be a character like Robin Hood, or the you can even go even less and be that character who is the best friend of the group, who gets everybody riled up like, yeah, we can do this, and they fight side by side, back to back, shoulder to shoulder with someone. Also, they can kind of fill a role because they are frontline warriors, right? But they can also fill a role where it's like, hey, I'll stay back here and I'll be Overwatch. I'll tell you guys where to go and what to do. And they're like, yeah, okay, you do that. You watch with your spyglass or something like that. So here with the Marshal character, if we focus in on the left side of the screen, it gives you a little bit of details like the power of command, little fluff there, information, a motivated adventurer. Um, maybe the your Marshal character could either a be allied with a group that's like, hey, I need to go out in support of my allies or my country or my faction, or maybe you're like a Ronin, samurai or something. Like, it's like, I don't have a serve anyone, and I'm looking to find something to serve. And then, of course, creating a marshal. And there are some questions like, for example, do they have value in brawn or acumen or both? Do they lead from the front lines or fight from a distance? And those kind of things. And then like, and especially this really works for tone of your character. Like, how do they treat those they work with, those they work for, and lastly those who work for them. So are they brutalistic, like, you know what, you failed that role, you suck? Or are they just like, we can do this, I love you, kind of thing. Like, I could imagine, this is strangely strange enough to say, but I could imagine very classic version of a marshal being like a young distressed female character who's encouraging her, betrothed family and friends from the background, and saying, "Hey, I know, I believe in you to do these things," and then that's how it comes across to the player characters. We will get into it. Yeah, like Nick is saying, is in the chat, like how did the fighter class, like how the fighter class thinks, cool. And like King Arthur's a perfect example of a version of a marshal, right? You can imagine King Arthur being, as opposed to a paladin, is like, hey, I've got the round table, we're all equal in this, and I believe in you guys, right, Sir Galahad, right, Sir Gawain or whatever. Yep. Yep. Wonder could do one vampire tree? Hmm. So it's like, ah, yes, neurosis of martial class. Now you could take that two ways. It's like, I need some mental help, and you guys are going to help me do it, work through it. Or it could be what's one of my favorite YouTube channels. It's like cinema therapy or something like that. It's like, now tell me what's bothering you, and the barbarian's like, I I kill things and slaughter them, but I feel unfulfilled. Tell me more about that. I love it, Snow. All right, okay, so all right, let's get into nitty gritty. So class features, it's a die 10, hit dice die 10 for the martial level. Definitely a martial class. We get all that part. It's a very common thing. For proficiencies, we've got armor, of course, light, medium, and heavy armor, and all shields. Ooh, they reprinted. I'm sure they're going to have to go through this. There are the game now has three versions of shields. We have a buckler, essentially. It's a light shield which gives you AC +1 and can be used as an improvised weapon that does die 6 damage. We have a standard shield +2 AC, and then we have tower shields, which are essentially you're carrying around half cover. You can literally set it down and leave it there and go fight and come back to it. It's that big, on purpose. So anyway, we have weapons, simple and martial weapons, no tool proficiencies beginning, saving throw, stats are wisdom and charisma. And of course, wisdom and charisma, right? Wisdom, very perceptive, instinctive, how to maneuver around a battlefield and see things, is far more part of their wisdom talent, as well as seeing into people's intentions. Like, I know what my enemy's probably going to do. If I were them, I'd put up I'd have a sniper's nest and do, an ambush here. And then, of course, charisma, leading people, intimidating people, persuading them, even lying to people. Yeah, you're going to make it, sending people into suicide missions or something. And of course, you pick two skills from a list like athletics, history, insight, intimidation, medicine, perception, and persuasion. Of course, the medicine skill, I feel like the medicine skill definitely goes into the support role when people get hurt, and you can do things thereof. We have an equipment list. It does. You'll notice under the character classes that there is a gold cost listed for the beginning list of equipment, so you know how much all the elements of that cost. So, for example, the skirmisher's kit costs 193 gold, and you begin the game with 200 gold. So the extra gold you have, you can spend it on other things. So it's like 6 javelins, a longsword, a hauberk, light shield, explorer's pack, And then there is that's the skirmisher set, and then there's the soldier set, costs 110 gold. You get a battle axe, a scimitar, 2 spears, a longbow, and 20 arrows, padded leather, and a dungeoner's pack. And definitely carrying around all that stuff is probably seems like it's problematic, but I'm pretty sure in battle you just drop that stuff and keep on going. So before I get back into the chat for the co-hosts, these are these two first level excuse me, capabilities kind of tell you what the Marshal has. So we start out with commanding presence. Starting at first level, you have a commanding presence which extends from you in a 10-foot radius, and this is very important. The commanding presence portion of the character class will really dictate some of the capabilities that happen when an ally or friendly creature is within that zone of your commanding presence. And as your character level goes up, your commanding presence starts to expand out. But anyway, it extends out in a 10-foot radius. Now, what you can do with it is your allies can attack at your command. When you take the attack action, you can forego making one attack to allow a friendly creature within range. Oh no, we'll get up to that chart in a minute. Within range of your commanding presence to make an attack instead. If the target can hear you, it can use its reaction to either cast a cantrip or make one weapon attack. So it's kind of cool. Like you yell out orders or instructions or watch your back or something, and boom. And then, of course, it says the range of your presence increases to 20 feet, 5th level, 30 feet at 10th level, 45 feet, and 60 feet. All right, so let's get back up into the chat. I'm sorry, into the chart, and then I'll go back into the chat. So right here, this is emblematic of a lot of the classes. Of course, you have your, to the very left, your level, your proficiency bonus, your features. We start out with commanding presence and rallying surge. We'll get into that one, and then at second level, we begin with our combat maneuvers and lessons of war. Lessons of war is a class specific choices you get to list of things you get to pick from. Of course, Level Up 5E has a lot of choices. And then third level, we have Marshal archetype and Mark Foe and so on and so forth. And those features keep on going down, including the ASIs down at fourth level and eighth level, etc. Commanding presence is 10 feet. You can see how it jumps up from 10 feet to 20 feet at fifth level. And then when does it go up to 30 feet? 10th level. All right, and then we gain followers as well. So it's kind of like a built-in, like, hey, join me kind of thing, and you can really shape them for your character class based on what type of character you have. I would. This is just me. Depending on what kind of like your background or something, I would have animals and beasts and monsters as followers based on the general level of the kind of follower that you get. Like if you were playing like a drow elf, I'd give him like a giant spider or something like that. I would do that. Um, Maneuvers known. These are based on the combat maneuvers. You start out at second level with 2, and it starts to increase and rank up. Ninth level, you get like 6 of them, and then these are the maximum level of maneuver degree. Maneuvers are like in parity to spells that wizards have, except these are martial techniques. And then, of course, lessons specific to the martial class lessons. Let me get into the chat. Go back to checks. I can't see it. um, oh, Nicholas is what I mean is a vampire. The new vampire tree 5e level up. Yes, there's a new. It's been unlocked. The lycanthrope tree and the vampire tree has been opened up. I haven't been able to see it though. I have not been able to see it. Nick mentions King Gilgamesh. Yep, yep. Another classic hero trope with surrounded by fellow adventurers or something. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, just that's so funny. Snow Edwin is like, nah, I'll be fine. Quote Charles Dalbert, October 25, 1415. And I I believe it's pronounced It's not Agincourt, but I'm pronouncing it that way. Ah, my tongue. Oh, it's French. Ah, I can't do it. Yeah, I'll be fine. You go ahead. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Wayne, what's going on? Wayne says, Gilgamesh, I can see. Also, he was an odd one. But Arthur, not a paladin? He was the code, the example for his knights. I agree with that. Well, you know what? That one doesn't necessarily lead to the other. Like, for example, like Conan the Barbarian probably was never a barbarian. Yeah, I hear you, Snow, but listen, I'm uh I'm very much the I put the improper emphasis on the incorrect syllable all the time. Agincourt. All right, let's get back into it. Oops, oops, oop, 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 ooh. All right, all right. Let's get all right. So the second thing at first level is um, commanding presence. You have a range of your commanding presence, and as long as they're in that range, they can hear you. You can give up your attack when it's your action to attack. You can have someone else like cast a cantrip or attack. And then we have Rallying Surge. Also, at first level, you can use a bonus action to choose an ally within 30 feet of you. If the target can hear or see you, it regains hit points equal to 1d8 plus your martial level. Once you use this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. And it ranks up, it starts to increase, two allies, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the support healing part of it. But unlike a cleric, I'm imagining this is like of course, the person is like, you can do it, get up. They see you waving the banner around or the trumpet, or like they see you fighting allies, and they give you it's the, it's the, when the sounds of battle and the music starts to fade into the distance, and you look them in the eye, and Doctor Strange does the one finger, this is the one time, and you go, yeah, it's time to steal the stones now. It's time to do it. That's what it mentally it reminds me of that, right? All right, so second level, we go into combat maneuvers, and this is something very unique to Level Up, and it was a way to make martial classes um, far more intricate. So they have combat maneuvers which are in parity to spells that wizards have. I know someone made a comment in to support the the Kickstarter and was like, "Well, isn't this going to make like martial classes more complicated?" And the first answer is yes. The second answer is, well, no, not any more complicated than a spellcaster, right? So we have here, you have access to specific um, schools. And so you gain at second level, you gain proficiency in two combat traditions from the following list. So we have the tradition of Biting Zephyr, Mirror's Glint, Mist and Shade, Rapid Current, Razor's Edge, Sanguine Knot, Spirited Steed, or Unending Wheel. And I will be doing a video. It's probably going to have, wow, it's probably going to have to focus on each of the 11 schools, 11 traditions, martial traditions. Uh, so yeah, it's pretty crazy. But there's something in particular with this, even though I'm not giving very many details. Um, so you learn two maneuvers of your choice from traditions you are proficient with. You gain an exertion pool equal to twice your proficiency bonus. This part of using combat maneuvers is universal with all of them. So you gain exertion pool equal to twice your proficiency bonus. Those are your points that you expend, and they range from first degree to fifth degree, and they all have costs involved, whether it's 1 point of exertion, 6 points, whatever the case might be. But there's some of important detail. Again, Level Up wanted to have a lot of choice. So here is the important part that I think is cool. It says, additionally, whenever you learn a new maneuver, usually when leveling up, you can choose one of the maneuvers you know and replace it with another maneuver of the same level from a tradition you are proficient with. So, in other words, as you level up, you can start to you can switch out one for another one. Now, in world, narratively, you could say like it's the traditional character practicing in the corner with their sword because they've learned something new, or they've got dropped their sword to the ground, they've got a spear, and you see them practicing with it. And essentially it's like, well, in as the battlefield starts to change and the character starts adventuring, they essentially stop using one technique to start using another technique. And it's just another way to have more choice. Just that's all it is. Mm, 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 mm. Let's what's going on here? Let's get back into the chat. Mm, 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 mm. Hey, Snow. He goes a quote in the corner practicing with their sword. Phrasing. I I heard it come out of my mouth, and then I was like, "Bad DBJ, bad." I'm not going to take it back at all. I, why is he practicing in the corner with his sword? Every time he does that, there's a golden stream of healing fluids. Like, how do you know? I've never tasted it before. Lessons of war. Okay, um, the lessons. Okay, so at second level, you learn a lesson of war of your choice. Your lessons are detailed at the end of the class description. The lessons known column of the Marshal table shows when you learn more lessons of war. Again, I'm going to page down to get to the lessons. The lessons are unique to the Marshal class, and I'm going to get to the end of the class here. There we go. Lessons of war. So when making your Marshal and you get these lessons of war, you get to pick from this grouping of talents that make your Marshal unique from others. So there's things like, when you gain access to a new lesson of war, choose one of the following. So you have exacting. There's one called keep walking. So exacting is like basically when determining the distance you travel, you can make a DC 10 navigator's tools check to travel an additional number of miles equal to your proficiency bonus. And all these are like knacks. They're not very powerful, but when you bring them together, it basically makes you a great field commander. We have soldier kitting right up here. Oh, did I skip one? The top of one? Anyway, soldier kitting allows you and people in your group to carry more stuff. We have team tactics. Tactics allows you to modify the help action to allow others to add to the help action when someone is trying to do something, and everyone. Not only do you get the advantage, but you each in extra individual gives you a +1 bonus. We have keep walking. So with keep walking, you can basically avoid fatigue. Each ally can travel an additional hour before needing to make a constitution saving throw for a forced march. So it allows them to walk even further. We have teamwork here. Under teamwork, when you're involved in a group check, all members of the check gain an expertise die. That's actually pretty good. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. That's a really great one for the teamwork thing. Um, Lay of the land. You can spend 10 minutes observing the area in a 2-mile radius and expend 2 exertion points. And then you can pick out things like choke points and large swaths of cover, vegetation, water courses, those kind of things. And so you gain expertise die on engineering and survival skill. And also you can realize places where there might be ambushes and realize where you might prepare an ambush or realize where you might be ambushed. And this is also a great way for the narrator to go, oh, the Marshal would know to make a perception check in this region, despite maybe the enemy not giving away themselves, because the Marshal's like, yeah, I would, this would be a choke point. And then of rewarding repute, your deeds are heroically won over the hearts and minds of people, and so you can find like places to rest and things of that nature. Oh shoot, I went too far. Sorry. Sorry. Mm-mm. See what you guys have to say. mm, mm, Okay. Back into what is going on here? DBJ. I've got too many windows open. That's what the problem is. All right. Third level, you can mark a foe. Your martial direction improves the efficiency of your allies' attacks against an enemy. You can use a bonus action to choose a creature you can see within 30 feet. Until the start of your next turn, creatures able to hear you gain an expertise die on attacks made against that creature. If I haven't mentioned this before, expertise dice now um, go throughout the game. So an expertise die starts at D4. If you have multiple expertise dice stacking, it just increases the die. So it goes from D4. You don't roll more dice, you just roll a higher level die. So it goes from D4 to D6, D6 to D8, D8 to D10, etc. I think it caps at die 8, and then there are things that modify it even further. Of course, we got the ASI ability score improvement, combat directives at 5th level. This one's kind of cool because you get to use your martial traditions for other people. You learn one additional combat maneuver from Sanguine Knot. This combat maneuver does not count against the number of combat maneuvers that you know, much like spell casting characters that gain a spell ability, but it doesn't count against the number that they know. This is the same thing. You end up learning a Sanguine Knot tradition. Sanguine Knot is the I call it the Spartan tradition. It's the fights shoulder to shoulder, back to back tradition, martial tradition where you work in concert with someone else to improve you and them to do something like whether it's fighting, with shields together, making a shield wall, or fighting back to back so neither one of you can be snuck up on or something like that. But instead, with this combat directives, you get to give that tradition use a maneuver from that tradition to other people. Of course, you get an extra attack, beginning at 5th level, 3 attacks at 11th. You gain followers beginning at 5th level, and it's 5th, 10th, 15th, 20th level. 6th level, you get call to arms. When you roll initiative, you and each creature friendly to you that are within range of your commanding presence gain an expertise die to their initiative check. That's pretty cool because everyone gets to get a bonus to their initiative. Additionally, when you roll initiative, you can switch your result with that of an ally you can see. That's pretty important, especially if you're trying to time events and whatnot. And if you're playing a support character, you can always take the worst initiative and switch it with a friendly individual. Although you could be an ass you could be an ass and just take the highest initiative off of people. It's for a friendly ally, but it would be kind of it could be kind of an ass. Like, oh, your character's the fastest, has the highest initiative bonus. I'm going to take that now. Here we get here's another section where we get choice. Remember diversity of choice in Level Up. At 6th level, you have martial renown. Tales of your deeds take root in the hearts of people. Yeah, but what do they think of you? So at this juncture, you choose one of the following. You are either famous when you arrive in a settlement, after you reveal who you are to local authority figures, seek you out to make introductions, invite you to share a meal or drink. In addition, you gain an expertise die on persuasion checks because you're a famous warrior, right? Leader or something. Or you're infamous. Ugh. Common folk hurry to get out of your way. And when you corner a commoner to ask about something local, they rapidly tell you whatever details they think you might want to know because they want to get the hell out the way. And in addition, you get an expertise die on your intimidation checks, or you're a maverick. Yeah, when you arrive in a settlement, after you reveal who you are, the local watch starts keeping an eye on you. Heads of illegal organizations may introduce themselves to you if they have goals well suited to your talents. Additionally, guards expect you're up to no good, so are quick to leave their posts to follow you. Now, it sounds strange, like, well, why would I pick Maverick when I get expertise to die on the other ones? But what happens is you can get uh, illegal aid and or have town guards follow you, so your other allies can do their sneaky stuff if they want to, or go about doing a thing where they're not being watched. Um, at sixth level, learn a new lesson. You can replace one, or you can say choose from a fighter soldiering knacks. So fighters get knacks, soldiering knacks specific to them. Well, not specific to them because the martial class get this. The marshal gets to pick them, but yeah, it's the same thing. Much like lessons of war, there's more choice, that kind of thing. So we go on and on and on. Here we go. Mm, 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 mm. Going back into the chat here, it says, let's see, Nicholas says, mentions that also that not all martial moves will work on all creatures. That's very true. There are specificities based around the martial maneuvers, like whether they are using a weapon attack or they are within 5 feet or things like that. And of course, whether they can hear you or see you and, of course, understand you, that kind of thing. And like Snow says, Snow mentions is like, ooh, that's like a bless. Yeah, very much like bless, boon, or guidance. The martial class basically gets non-spell like versions of those. So they do stack. By the way, expertise dice stack with blesses and boons and banes and things like that. It can get a little confusing, but not confusing, but a little intricate. Like, oh, I'm going to roll this die to subtract because I'm under a bane, but I get this because of bless, and I also get this because of guidance, and I also get an expertise die. So yes, that can happen. Which whatever, a little more dynamic, a little more randomness involved in it. All right. Now, Wayne mentions being completely ignorant, never having seen this game. I see martial classes as true non magic, but relying on skills you'd expect from traditional experience words or in Rangers, unlike the odd. Why didn't it show up? Unlike the. Okay, unlike the odd way D&D does it now, where almost everyone wields magic of some sort or has special abilities. Um, Abilities that to me make no sense, like auto healing. So, if so, I love it. More true to the archetype. The the survey sent out for the I didn't work on this particular part, but the surveys sent out to people about how level up would be designed. There was a strong, strong desire to have non-magical options for characters. Like, I'm not saying you should do this, but Level Up allows you to actually play a game that's low magic or no magic at all. Like, you can use only Marshal. There's like 165 so far, as what I understand, combat maneuvers. And with fighter classes, barbarian, the non-magic ranger, this class, you can play characters that like have no magic, but they're still enhancing the party, doing things. So absolutely, Wayne, I definitely agree with you on that. Like yeah, they have capabilities, and they could very easily have been reframed magical abilities, right? Because that's what fifth edition has done traditionally. Like, oh, we want to give this character a capability that's non-magical, but to frame it within the framework of the world, we're going to just call it a magical ability. Like, we're going to give them the spell Vicious Mockery to make them more intimidating, right? Like that kind of thing. Snow does point out, like, the ally doesn't have to be willing. Just steal your ally's initiative. Yeah, I don't. I would have contention with that because I don't believe it specifies one or the other, but the character class begins with like, oh, you support your allies with an ally technically is a willing creature. So yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, like Snow's like, ooh, that sounds great for distraction. Yeah, the Maverick infamy with being a Maverick. Now, this isn't within the game rules, but as a world creator, narrator, like and I would work with a player character, maybe to the north. you're famous, but to the south, you're infamous, right? Or in between. Like I would say, hey, you get to pick one, but within the game world, guess what? To some people, you are infamous, and so you get the infamous trait temporary, like within this region, but in this other places, you're known as a maverick. Robin Hood. Robin Hood is a perfect example, right? Like Robin Hood wants to it's been you're hiding in the woods, you're a noble, you've been removed from your throne, so out in the woods with the commoners, yeah, you're famous because they're like, hey, you're helping us out, you're stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. But when you go into the big city, you're infamous, and then maybe there's people on the roads that are like, oh, you're robbing people, you're a maverick. I would do that. Nick mentions, can we see the Marshall archetype? Absolutely. I was waiting for you guys to, like, hey, point this out to me specifically. So, what I'll do, Nick, is I'll show you the three Marshall archetypes, and then go back and start with the first one. But I'll show them to you, the three that are available, and then go back. And Wayne says, excellent, as it should be. This is better, and why in part WotC is bleeding money. Ooh, ooh. Or RPGs are an extension of tabletop combat games. Players, for the most part, want it as realistic, quote, realistic as possible. So I completely understand why your survey came out that way. Unrealism, realism, and putting politics into the system only serves to grow the OSR movement. This game sounds very interesting. Yeah, I would contend that it's how it's done, right? Most things, most people, gaming wise, real life, whatever, it's not what you're doing, it's how you do it. Do the thing. Politics has always been and is in and always has been in everything. Even people who say I don't want politics, that's a political choice, right? You're making a choice of not to include or mention or to add or distract something, but it's how it's done. So I think the surveys really go to the design of the game was like, hey, this is what people want. How do we go about doing it? And so, yeah. Oh, by the way, as the character class goes up, you start getting into strongholds and things like that. And there's a fully developed stronghold building part of Level Up, and the Marshal class gets even additional features of creating a stronghold. Mm, 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 mm. Some of these, sorry, there's at 18th level you get like increasing levels of reputation, and so you could be a hero, an iconoclast, or oops, sorry, or a slaughterer, or maybe people perceive you that way. Yeah, slaughterer. And then there's a legendary commander at 20th level. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be using my mouse for this. There's the commander's expertise, the feedback loop, and rapid deployment. That's awesome. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, so anyway, get past our lessons of war, and let's go to the archetypes. All right, Marshals commit themselves to one of these methods and adopt their techniques when leading their way in battle against their enemies. So, what kind of archetype do you want? So, we have the gambling general. Go big or go home. All right. So they do a lot of risky things. They, for some reason, the gambling general to me reminds me of Master and Commander, the movie Master and Commander. So, um, and again, Level Up has a lot of choice. So at third level, when you select this archetype, you can choose one of the following. You have like things like daring assault, daring charge, um, and then we have got like desperate maneuvers at seventh level, frantic avoidance, hold the line, stand firm, that kind of thing. Mm-mm-mm, mm-mm-mm. So you have the gambler, skirmishers. If you, as you can see with the layout of this, when you get to a certain level, like here we have canny adversary, you get to make a choice. So it wasn't that they made Level Up decided team decided to make it more complicated. It's just that at particular levels, you get to make choices to further customize your character, and I really like that. All right, so now the second archetype is the swift strategist. Not all marshals command fully armored, heavily armored troops, yet they produce as much result as any disciplined army. Strategists know when to strike hard, fast, and be gone before the enemy realizes what hit them. Their presence may be rare on the battlefield, but that is simply because the entire war is the perfect war zone. And so the swift strategists is like again, I say Robin Hood, or this is the Marshal class that works really well with like rangers and rogues and even barbarians, people that are on the move, small squad tactics, that kind of thing. So there's like at third level, when you pick the archetype, you get a choice of like either fast feet or fast retreat. um, so with those within your commanding presence, like with fast feet, you get a um, the creature's speed increases by 5 feet till the end of its turn, or with fast retreat, you can get allow another ally to get make the disengage action when they don't have any actions left. And then a skirmisher, nimble troops, glorious sacrifice, etc. And then lastly, we have the talented tactician. The most brilliant of tactician marshals are those who can sit far away from the front lines and yet picture every move their enemy might take. Of course, we have the classic, rolled out map inside the tent, chess moves. That's this kind of archetype where you're away from the battlefield, kind of, or at least on the hill or away, and then you're giving orders. Your banners, horns, drums are going, and you sit back and give orders to other people. So, for example, beginning at third level, when you choose this archetype, whenever you roll initiative, you gain a tactics die, which is a d4. This is just specific for this archetype. While you have this die, any friendly creature to you within 60 feet of you that can hear you rolls a tactics die as a bonus die when making an attack roll. Once rolled, the tactics die is lost until you regain it at the start of your next turn. The tactics die disappears when the combat ends. And essentially, that's a way of going like, you know what? You're 60 feet away. Okay, now you get it. Oh, okay. When you use that, okay, now no, no, no. Now you get it. And basically, you sit back. It's like a bless that you pick and choose after someone uses it who follows your intentions. And again, it stacks again. And so operations leader, hidden resources, dig deeper. Mm-mm-mm. This is kind of cool. Um, at 18th level, you have hidden reserves. Under dig deeper, it says you can take a bonus action to allow a creature to regain the use of an origin trait or class feature that would normally be regained by finishing a short rest. And then you can use this feature twice, and you regain any expended uses when you finish a long rest. So it's again it's the you can do it, come on, get back into the thing. This really works really well if you have a warlock in the party, short resters, people who gain their things back at short rest. He's like, no, you can do it again, and the warlock's like, I can't at all. Anyway, I'm being facetious. All right, guys. Let me get back into for you co-hosts here. Sorry about that. It moved a little bit. Mm-mm-mm. Mike says, "Okay." Mm-mm-mm. Mike mentions, "Okay, Watsi isn't bleeding money. Gather two people together in a room, and politics exists. Not all tables want realism, so see see many live plays. That's true. Um, we can't. I don't like to speak to how other people spend their money, right? And Dungeons and Dragons is at a all-time high for its popularity. at the same time, it's much like a restaurant that has a favorite food dish that everybody wants. You really don't want to change the recipe. No matter how many other people are making a better recipe, your popular recipe is the one that needs to stay the same because of its popularity in general, right? Like, for example, Krispy Kreme donuts are a thing here to the point where there's a light outside of Krispy Kreme donut places that tells you that the fresh donuts have come off the rollers, and they are glazed donuts. They're There is no other donut. It's a glazed donut. They You don't want to mess with the glazed donut, right? And so it's difficult to go to ride the fine line between we should really keep up with the times versus staying the way we used to be. And that costs money, or it can cost you money, right? So I don't know. That's yeah. Wayne says, DBJ, I didn't mean politics in the setting. I meant real world social politics being put where most, I believe, think they don't belong. Setting and time period politics has always been there. Oh, no, no, I was talking real. No, I was referring to real world. I was blending the two. So yeah, 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 yeah. Real world politics in there, but here's the thing, right? You guys, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? I'm African American. I'm black, and the thing is that when I hear people say things like, "Oh, I'm tired of woke politics in my game. It shouldn't be there," blah 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 blah. I hear the words, but the intention behind it is like you don't belong in the RPG community. Like I don't want to see artwork that showcases you. I don't want to hear things that showcase you. And I'm like, I've been in this over 40 years. Like, you, are you that afraid of having a piece of art or a paragraph or something? Like I don't think you guys, if you guys are young enough to remember this, but I remember when Paizo was like, "Oh, we're going to get rid of chainmail bikinis and we're going to have more inclusive art," and people lost their minds. And I was just like, the world did not fall down and get destroyed, but that's politics, right? Or at least that's what people say today. Snow is like, I wasn't prepared for debates about the current state of TTRPG industry. We go off the rails a lot on this, so you're fine. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, 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 Mike. The Marshal is it's like, so this is level up shot at a warlord or Watsy's battle master. Yes, yes, it is. The Marshal is the Marshal specific character support class. I suppose you could say it's versus the cleric in terms of, and it's the battlefield maneuver. Like, hey, I'm going to give you the ability to do these things, your allies to do things, maneuver around on the battlefield, encourage them, give them a greater ability to use their skills, teamwork, and that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. Yep. Uh-oh. Snow was like Snow was like, says give your warlock their spells back as a bonus action twice, even for 18th level. That's kind of gross. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that and I was like, ouch. Because you could, when when you're talking at that high level and you get a beat down, and then the marshal comes along to the warlock like, psst, get the hell back up, get back in the fight. And the narrator, the dungeon master's like, don't, oh, I thought the lich took you out. Like, nope. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Mike's like, the OSR movement is there for people who want things like they used to be. I wonder, sarcastically, when will fifth edition be OSR? Because it kind of feels like it's flowing that way. Oh, you're so silly, Amufa. Mufa's like, late because I was busy upping my pledge for level up. That's like the person that's eating and it's like, hey, so what do you think about the food? Sorry, can't talk eating. Mm-mm. Yeah, Mike. I hear you. I hear you. And listen, I understand people are not against it. Sometimes they just don't want to be preached at, which I get. But yeah, it can be it can. But I feel like my discomfort has is a small price to pay, and I think some people were just like, I'm uncomfortable, so f you. And it's like, well, if you believe in something, it's easy to believe in something when you love it. It's hard to stand for something when it works against you. And so I truly believe like in the it's like it's the freedom of speech mantra when United States charters were made. It's like, yeah, I believe that you have the ability to say things that I don't agree with, and I support your ability to say so. Right? It's that kind of thing. Yeah, both my daughters are non-binary. When I hear "get politics out of gaming," I hear "your kids don't belong here. Get back in the closet." Really gets under my skin. Yeah, it's like why people were pissed off at like the wheelchair thing. I was like, why? Why? I get that you don't want it, but that why would you not want other people to have a thing? Can't talk eating. Yeah, can't talk eating is the story of every experience at a restaurant. Wait staff are poised to strike when you have a mouthful of food. So how's your food? It's in my mouth and I'm enjoying it. Why are you bothering me with yeah. So let me get back to the top here. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find uh let me see if I can find the because it's tucked in here. All right, so avert your eyes, avert them, because this is a no. Got to go to the combat traditions. I'm going to try to go to the combat traditions here because I wasn't expecting to do this, but oh, by the way, sorry. I know I'm really paging through this very quickly. At the end of each of the spell casting character classes, right here it says sorcerer spell list. All the spells are listed. So if you have the PDF or the book near you and you're picking a character class and you have spell features, they decided to put the spells next to the character class as to keep page flipping. Right. That's anyway. That's I didn't mean to stop there because whatever. Come on. Do, 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 do. Past the wizard. Mm, 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 mm. Spells. See, I have a version of this where I have a version of this that's not even hyperlinked. That's why I got to page through it. Sorry, I can't type it in. This I'm going past the equipment and weapons and all that kind of stuff. I want to get to some of the martial abilities. Mm, 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 mm. Workshops and strongholds, studying. Here we go. Combat maneuvers, for attacks. Oh, these are all the feats. That's a whole shit. That's a whole nother. Oh man, that's a whole other thing. Of course, we got the ability scores and list of skills and all that kind of stuff. Um, Under all the skills, there are now a one because we're getting to the end here. Now a 1 and a 20, a critical success, and a fumble are included with all die rolls. If so, and there are some examples. I know some people don't like that, but whatever. Special movement. We got a ton of stuff for the environment. A ton of stuff for the environment. You guys know that I love that stuff. I absolutely love it. Recovery. Of course, we have combat and turn-based actions and movement and all that kind of stuff. Temporary hit points and everything. Um, all right, here we go. Let's. I'm I know I'm going to get the martial maneuvers, but I gotta stop right here because you guys know I am the proverbial self-appointed third pillarist of the tabletop community, and under because the third pillar has been increased so much, It is it it was our intention to allow exploration and the environment to have a huge impact on the game, from journeying long distances to even combat. So um let me see. Mike and Snow says, did Level Up address the 5e weapon damage? It's wildly inaccurate. Hmm. Do you mean like, what do you mean 5e wildly inaccurate? I'm saying you're wrong. I just don't understand what you mean. Yeah, okay, okay, so are you saying like i- how do you explain this? All right. Are you saying that the damage output of weapons is not conducive? Because remember, damage output for weapons is based on common people who probably have between like 2 to 5 hit points ish. So like a longsword can kill someone. Now it won't kill a PC, but it could kill other people. What they've done? Okay, let's answer the question by actually answering the question. Um, all right, so under, did I go too far? I'm going to do another video on it, but because I think I'm too far away now. Yeah, I'm too far away. Um, I'll go back to it. The weapons now have far more traits than they used to, making some weapons more useful than others based on the circumstances. So there are weapons that are better at disarming people, making them trip and fall. There are not just disarming, but tying up the weapon as it's being used. Halberds that the pole arms that help, that get past shields so you can stab someone or something. There's a lot more weaponized traits, and those traits offset the capability of the weapon's effectiveness in battle. Now, they don't do more damage because the way Dungeons and Dragons has always been set up is that heroes have plot armor, and your plot armor are your hit points. So a character with 60 hit points isn't tougher. They're just taking a lower percentage of harm from battle than a person of similar stature who doesn't have the skills and capabilities. It's the proverbial I got stabbed in the kidney, but I'm still fighting thing. It's cinematic plot armor is essentially what it is. They don't describe it that way, but my headcanon says that's what it is. So that's what it is. So now that we come to the end here, um, there are example environments, and under these example environments, because we're talking about the Marshal, and the Marshal being a battlefield character that moves people around, there are also, we want to encourage game masters and dungeon masters and narrators to use example environments to better round out the battlefield as they're playing a game when we're in combat. And there's a ton of these. This just happens to be examples of them. So we have cavernous, fiery, forested, frigid regions, furnished, hazy, rocky, stormy, swampy regions, whatnot, right? And so let's get into like, I don't know. Let me change the page view on this so we can focus in a little bit larger on this. Because I love this kind of stuff. So let's say we're in a cavernous region, right? We're in the Underdark. Let's call it the Underlands, and we're down there. So maybe in a cavernous region, you want to add in things like echoes or loose foundations or stalactites or maybe even stalagmites or whatever, right? And you can place them in as you wish, as you want to. And because we're talking about the Marshal character, like for example, if there's stalagmites around, obstacles that provide these are obstacles that provide half cover. So maybe you scatter them around. So now player characters can maneuver around half cover, and now you as the Marshal, because we're talking about the Marshal, maybe now that you've given maybe your allies extra movement, now they can dodge behind half cover. This also means when we talk about the environment is neutral. Unlike what is classically known as a lair, an environment An environment is just there, and it has no motivation. It is not controlled by an entity. It exists on its own to be used and abused. And listen, you're never going to run out of places because guess what? Wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. So when the player characters are in a cave and they go, "Oh, I'm going to hide behind some stalagmites," guess what? Your enemies can do the same thing. Those giant spiders or cave fishers that are going after the player characters, they can hide behind half cover as well. Those drow elves or deep gnomes or something. But there's also like echoes. Sound travels twice as far. And any effect which causes thunder damage does 1 extra point of damage per die rolled. How awesome is that? Right? And it's like sound travels twice as far. That means guess what? You yell out to your allies, your enemies probably hear you. But we also have a problem. How about loose foundations? An area hazard that can cause the entire section of cave to collapse within 2 rounds of being disturbed by any explosive effect or significant impact. I'm going to add thunder damage in there as well, right? Participants still in the area are grappled and start to suffocate. Escape DC 12. Well, guess what? Tension timers. You know, I love tension timers. Anything to ramp up the tension, you got 2 rounds to get out of there. Now, sure, maybe your barbarian could beat things about the head and shoulders, but maybe you don't want to be in a collapse. So that's just an example. Let me get back into the chat here. Um, mm, mm, mm. Oh, Mike mentions that example. A mace does a die 6. A warhammer is versatile and does D8 or D10, and they're essentially the same weapon. The design team has gone through the weapons and adjusted damage potentials. I would have to, you know what? Maybe I will do a side by side. Be a little difficult, but I guess I could do 2 windows and do a side by side. I don't know. We could do that, but there's more. And right now, there's more. There are more options than versatile and light and two handed. So that might be a thing. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maces were versatile in use. Scimitars were brutal and not a D6, nor were they light. I think scimitars have been changed around too. Specifically, I don't know. I challenge anyone to try and dual wield Turkish scimitars, towars, and other sabers. They were pretty heavy. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll do weapons. You know what? I made up a decision. I made an executive decision. We'll do weapons and traits of weapons tomorrow. Mike says, love the cavernous effects, thunder damage causing cave ins, avalanches is totally plausible. And guess what? Here's the thing, right? Like, you could benefit from the echo and then cause problems with the loose foundation part of it, right? Like, I'm going to do a thunder wave that's going to knock all my enemies back. Great. But you just cause other problems. And these are just examples of things that you can use. Like, let's go with like uh frigid surface, fiery regions with like burning surfaces or floating ash, flame bursts. Like, here's a world action. Flame burst, recharge 4 to 6. A single participant makes a DC 12 dexterity saving throw, or they take 1d12 fire damage. Now, when it says a single participant, how do you decide that? Maybe everyone rolls a d20. Whoever gets the lowest roll gets targeted because there's flames shooting up out of the volcanic region or something. Also, there's a recharge of 4 to 6, so no one knows when it's going to happen. And then the party's making tactical decisions, but making those tactical decisions means that you might have to modify them on the fly, et cetera, et cetera, right? There's a bunch of different things that can happen. And these are spread throughout Level Up. So you have everything from like frozen regions and rushing water and storms and populated areas. Like, here's a furnished location. We got your classic chandelier. We've got clutter. We've got the mirror, which is pretty fun. I love that. And we also have tables. Tables. And I know you don't need a rule for this. You don't need it, but some players have done this, and game masters have been like, I don't think you can do that. But like here, tables, obstacles that can be pushed over as an action to provide half cover. Um, and one of those actions could be use object, right? You push the table over, hide behind it, do, um, you know, dodging from arrows, right? We've seen that happen plenty of times. But before we get out of here, I'm going to do this last one, and I love it, and then we'll get back into you co-hosts here. Mirror, okay? A participant holding this object can use their reaction to reflect a first level spell or cantrip targeting them, turning it back onto the spellcaster by succeeding on a dexterity check opposed by a spellcasting ability check. On a failure, the spell hits a randomly determined unoccupied square. The mirror then breaks. I think that's fun. I know some players when they find this out and actually try to attempt it will be like, I'm going to carry around a giant, head to toe length mirror with me on my backpack. That sounds completely idiotic and stupid, but I love this idea. Like it's completely cinematic. It makes no logical sense, but it makes perfect sense in a fantasy, cinematic, grab the mirror and make it reflect back at the wizard, Medusa, Naga, I don't know, spellcaster in the castle kind of thing. I don't know. I like it. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Mm-mm-mm. Um, Lastly, we have like stormy regions, heavy participation. Wow, heavy precipitation. I would have. I know the design team was trying to keep it simple. I would have changed heavy precipitation, just given everybody resistance to fire. Everything's wet, soaking wet, or something. Anyway, loud winds, forceful gale, a single participant makes a DC 12 strength saving throw where they're pushed 15 feet in one direction. This movement does not provoke an opportunity attack, but it sure can kick you out of the battle if something happens, right? Lightning strike, recharge at 5 to 6, getting blasted, by lightning, and those things can be put into the battlefield to have some sort of effects. But all right, we're going to end right there. But let me get into the chat. Mike's the only one. Okay. Boo, 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 boo. Let's see. Mike says, "How many times have DMs had to deal with a burning structure because of the actions of the PCs?" Yeah, how the survival rate of taverns is probably like 25 to 30%, maybe on the high end because of getting burned down or something. Oh man. Mike says, "Mirror versus poison spray, mirror versus charm person, mirror versus firebolt, which would splash, and of course, acid splash." I know. It's one of those. Listen, it only exists for use in the circumstance that the dungeon master states, right? Like acid splash, I would allow you to use it to defend yourself, and maybe it takes out the mirror instead of you reflecting it back on the person. Maybe not, but charm person, that sounds hilarious. That someone tries to use charm person on you and they charm themselves in the mirror, and then since they're charmed, you tell yourself to do this thing, and the charmed person's like, yes, I will tell myself to do this thing in the mirror. I don't know. That sounds ridiculous, and I love it. Yeah, it does sound a little squirrely at all. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. We do have Nick and Snow as new individuals here. I'm sure there's many other people who take part in this podcasty behind the scenes look. I know we always at the end of the show go off the rails a little bit. Tomorrow we're going to take a look at armor. I'm sorry, the armory. We're going to take a look at weapons and some of the features. There are still little tweaks here and there and layout issues, but yeah, right. Eternal, Shiny, and Marshall. Yeah, we'll take a look at those, and um, maybe I'll try to do a side by side. I can't guarantee it, but we'll try to do a side by side comparison. But I think the most important thing is to take a look at some of the weapon traits and some of the traits are bad, good and bad. And what I love about having additional weapon traits, just like we have new armor traits and shield traits, is that in a low magic setting, you can also have the effect of rewarding players who find weapons or maybe learn new techniques with weapons or there are now master crafted weapons as well, and so now you can reward players to get, a better sword, a better spear, a better pole arm or something that does some other special trait that is non-magical in nature. So you still have a reward structure without like doing a Monty Hall handing out magic items. And I love that effect, as well as the fact that based on let me keep this up here. So as well as the fact that the I love the idea that based on your world, different cultures may use different weaponry, even though they seem very similar in nature. They may use them in a different way because they have new traits, and the players may learn from that. So when they go on these world travels and travel around, maybe they learn new things and new techniques, and they find the bladed chain, or they find a guitar or something like that, one of those punch daggers or something, and they're like, "Cool, I'm going to use this for my character." That'd be awesome, guys. Anyway, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. We will go delve into other things later on. Uh, I will have a day set aside just for you know RPGs with A5E, so that we all start to learn. Because frankly, I can't I can't memorize 1,500, 16, 1,700 pages of stuff. So we'll all work together. Guys, have a great one. I will see thee later.